The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the Earth representative, Admiral Thomas Reed, was escorted from the Grand Hall. His face burned with indignation, but he maintained the rigid composure expected of a military man. Behind closed doors, the Council resumed their session, confident that humanity had been put in its place. They were wrong. Earth had been a member of the Galactic Council for less than a century, a mere infant in the cosmic community where some civilizations measured their histories in millennia. Humans were considered brash, unpredictable, and dangerously innovative. The older species, the Altheans with their crystalline exoskeletons, the gaseous Morith collectives, and the hive-minded Drell, had agreed that humanity needed boundaries. The humiliation had been meticulously planned. Admiral Reed's proposal for expanded human colonization rights had been not just rejected but mockingly dismantled. His species' achievements belittled as primitive stumbling. The Council had broadcasted the proceedings across all networks, ensuring every inhabited world witnessed humanity's dressing down. "They think we're children," Reed reported to the Earth Defense Council. His hologram flickered slightly as it projected into the underground bunker beneath Old Washington and made sure everyone saw it. Director Ava Wilson, head of Earth's military operations, watched the 12 Council members' faces. Some showed anger, others calculation, but none showed fear. That was good. Fear would have been useless. "Then they've made a critical error," she said, rising from her seat. "They'd forgotten where we came from." Before joining the galactic community, humans had spent their history fighting against nature, against each other, against extinction itself. While other species evolved in environments that rewarded cooperation or slow, methodical progress, Earth had forged its children in conflict and survival. Humanity had nearly destroyed itself multiple times before reaching the stars, and those harsh lessons hadn't been forgotten. In the weeks that followed, Earth went quiet, too quiet. Council intelligence operatives reported unusual movements of human ships, but the Council dismissed these reports. Humans were emotional, they reasoned. They would sulk, then return, humbled and compliant, when the first strike came. No one was prepared. Not a military strike, at least not in the traditional sense. Humanity unveiled Project Prometheus, a revolutionary energy technology that rendered the Council's controlled energy markets obsolete overnight. Human engineers had been developing it in secret for decades, anticipating a day when they might need leverage. "We're not declaring war," Director Wilson announced in an address to the Galactic Council. "We're declaring independence. Earth and all human colonies are withdrawing from Council authority, effective immediately." The Council's response was predictable. Economic sanctions, diplomatic isolation, military posturing. But humanity had prepared for this moment. Their ships, smaller than most Council vessels but significantly faster and more adaptable, were already in position around key trade routes. The Althean delegation demanded a military response. "Crush them now," their ambassador hissed, crystal fragments tinkling with agitation, "before they infect others with their defiance." But the first military engagement went catastrophically wrong for the Council forces. Human ships didn't engage in traditional formation combat. They scattered, feinted, employed unpredictable tactics that confused the rigid battle algorithms of Council commanders. When the flagship of the Drell Armada exploded from an internal sabotage no one had detected, the Council began to understand they weren't facing mere defiance. They were facing a species that had perfected warfare before even leaving their own solar system. "We don't want territory," Admiral Reed explained during a tense negotiation 3 months into what was now being called the Human Rebellion. "We want respect." The Morith negotiator pulsed in confusion. "You've destroyed trade routes, disrupted economies, and compromised military installations for respect." Reed smiled thinly. "For a start." By the 6-month mark, 5 other younger species had joined humanity's alliance. The Galactic Council was facing the first serious challenge to its authority in over 4,000 years. Their military strategies, unchanged for centuries, proved inadequate against human asymmetric warfare. "They fight like they have nothing to lose," complained a Drell commander after another failed engagement. "No," corrected his human prisoner, a lieutenant named Marcus Dawes. "We fight like we have everything to gain." What the council never grasped was that the public humiliation had united humanity in a way nothing else could have. Old Earth rivalries were set aside. Colonial disagreements were shelved. For the first time since leaving Earth, humans everywhere identified as one people with one purpose: to ensure no one would ever mistake their civility for weakness again. The war ended not with a decisive battle, but with a series of political concessions. The Council, faced with mounting defections and military losses, recognized human independence and granted favorable terms to humanity's allies. The Galactic Order was permanently altered. In the new Galactic Chamber, built on neutral territory, Admiral Reed, now Ambassador Reed, took his seat at the table of equals. Across from him, the Althene representative's crystalline structure refracted light in patterns that indicated submission. The Morinth representative's gaseous form stayed carefully contained, no longer spilling over boundaries as if to assert dominance. The Drell representative's neural pathways glowed with cautious respect. "The terms are acceptable," the Council Elder announced, its ancient voice wavering slightly. "The restructuring of galactic governance will proceed as agreed." Ambassador Reed nodded once. It wasn't a victory celebration. Humans had learned that lesson too. It was acknowledgement between equals. Outside the chamber, Director Wilson received the news with quiet satisfaction. "Was it worth it?" her aide asked. Wilson watched the live feed as humans took their rightful place in galactic governance. "Ask me in 100 years," she replied. "But I suspect the answer is yes." The stars would remember the year 20,753, not as the year humans were humiliated, but as the year the galaxy learned that underestimating humanity was the last mistake anyone should make.